So last week we talked about the situation in Virginia and what I saw as possible projections for troop deployments to implement the kind of gun control they want to talk about. This week I want to talk about, on a regional level, why they're doing it and how they're going to make it morally justifiable. I don't think that just there's a gun law and we're going to enforce it is going to be enough. I think people are going to reject the idea on a national level. I still believe at least 80% of the population, some liberals included, understand the concept of liberty, and that if you take one person's liberty away, you can take everybody's liberty away. So they're going to need a reason on a large scale for that kind of deployment and governmental involvement. Now, the first thing that comes to mind is a natural disaster, but you can't exactly schedule a hurricane or a blizzard or a tidal wave or something like that. But looking back in a recent history, in 1965, there was a catastrophic failure of the power distribution system in the Northeast region of the United States. When that happened, 10 million Canadians and 45 million Americans were without power for several days. Now in 2003, it happened again, this time through the use of illicit software that prevented the power distribution node from working properly and left people without power for days. The power goes away and the ability to preserve food goes away. Refrigeration's gone. The internet is gone. In a society where we have become addicted to a constant stream of information, taking that away from people will be catastrophic on a psychological level. So you have hunger and paranoia, you're going to have civil unrest, period. And there's their reason for doing it. Not just in Virginia. At that point, they can go right up the East Coast, from Virginia all the way up, all the way up into Canada, and say, "Hey, gone. Give us your guns." Period. So that, to me, is their most likely option for implementing this kind of martial law. Now, I've pointed out a couple times that California is doing the exact same thing. And there's a reason why I think that these two situations are connected. Sending troops from the Virginia National Guard into Virginia to infringe on their family and the rights of their fellow Virginians don't make sense. They're not going to do it. They're more likely to join those people who are openly resisting this law. But if you take National Guardsmen from a shithole place like California that is gung-ho as heck about gun control and send them to Virginia to take people's guns, they're not going to have a problem doing it at all. And again, the reason I say California and Virginia this situation is connected is a lot of logistical factors. There are several naval air stations in California and Virginia. There are also several places in California and Virginia where UN vehicles are painted and set up for delivery and deployment to UN territories. So they've already got equipment waiting for them. There's already United Nations armored vehicles and stuff like that here in the U.S. So those military insertion points into our country are the most logical places for the United Nations troops to come in once they are part of the equation. Like I said, they're not going to initially be part of the equation. It's going to be in the later phases. I believe when they do this power outage, it's going to be during the summer. Because if you add those other two factors to extreme heat, it's going to be debilitating. And that's going to lead people to do stupid, stupid things. So, some other factors to consider about the situation. FEMA is going to want to control what comes into that region. I feel like, personally, the best option for them to do that are Interstates 80 and 81. 80 is accessible. 80 runs from California to New Jersey. It's the only highway that runs across the country. California to New Jersey. It's accessible to Virginia by port. And once they control Highway 80, because FEMA can insert their federal authority to control that highway. It's a federal highway. Bam. That's all FEMA has to have. Then they can control what comes into the region. Recently, in, I believe it was North Carolina, there were some disasters that happened. Members of the 3% movement gathered supplies and food and blankets and water and deployed into that area to help people. And when they encountered FEMA, FEMA was like, no, we don't want anybody but us distributing food and blah, blah, blah. Of course, the 3%ers just found a different spot and did it anyway and helped their fellow citizens. Major props to you guys. But it's important to note that FEMA wasn't happy. They want control on a regional level when they're in place. And the best way to do that, the best way to control what comes into the region is to control the highways and the freeways and the interstates. Interstate 80 is the most logical logistical travel point into the northeastern region. It goes clean across the country, they can control it, and then afterwards, if they do decide to employ that kind of draconian gun control into other regions, Highway 80 is the best logistical point to do it from. So, we see the numbers they can use. We see the plans they can use to make it happen. I believe this power situation will be the most logical way they can implement the kind of martial law they want. Folks, I hope we are still at the point where our vote matters enough that we can fight this that way. I really do. Reach out to your congressman, reach out to your fellow citizens, stand up to this. If you don't live in Virginia, but you live in one of the surrounding states, and you know that rallies or demonstrations are coming up, go down there and support your brothers. Solidarity matters on a national level. As always, if there's any questions or anything we can answer for you or help you research, let us know in the comment section. We're happy to do that. As always, folks, be decent to each other because we're all in this together. God bless.